Welcome to Optimal Timelines. My name is Sean, and this is going to be your January 2026 tarot readings for your North Node by sign and house for the second half of January. Now, if you're new to my channel, the reason I use the North Node in tarot readings, as opposed to your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant sign, is that it's recognized in astrology your North Node is your North Star. It's what you're here to learn, accomplish, and master in this lifetime. So it's much more relevant to your everyday life and much more accurate in tarot readings. Now remember, you're going to want to watch two readings, one for your North Node by sign and one for your North Node by house. Now before we begin, obviously there are lots of elements that are happening within our world, but remember, these readings are for our personal evolution and our personal development, regardless of what's going on in the world. With that, I'm going to connect to the energies and we can begin. I call upon my spirit guides, guardians, and the wisdom of my ancestors to bring forth the information that's true and correct for all who see and hear these readings, that it may bring them the most beautiful, happy life possible and set them on their most optimal future timeline. So may it be. Okay, North Node in Aries and or the first house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the reversed moon card. And what's happening for you the second half of January here is there is something that you weren't aware of that's coming to light. Something that was hidden or you didn't see is now coming to light and you're becoming aware. Okay, so the moon is like something at night. We don't see things clearly at nighttime, right? And then in the daytime, we see things more clearly. So this moon reverse is saying that there's an aspect of your life, or even several aspects of your life, that is kind of coming to light. Now let's look at your timeline. We'll get some more clarity. So you've got the Knight of Pentacles reversed. You've got the Page of Swords upright. And you've got the Seven of Wands upright. So this Knight of Pentacles reversed, the information that's going to come to you, or something that is going to come into your awareness, and this could be through another person or people, it could be through communication of some sort, and even just a kind of a realization. But it's something that is getting a part of your life unstuck, like something that was kind of stagnant is now going to find some release and in moving forward. Okay, so for each of you it's going to be different. It could be a couple different areas, but essentially the energy here is something is helping you to get unstuck. Now let's put this in practical terms, so you can understand this better. So let's say that all of a sudden, you find out some information. Maybe you go to a seminar, for example, and you start implementing something in your life and you make some changes. So this new information came to light, you started applying it, and it's getting you unstuck in some way. Okay, so for some of you it could be financially, some emotionally, mentally, so even career-wise. But essentially, like I said, that's what's happening is this is getting you unstuck. So this is very amazing and powerful. Now, the second card on your timeline here is the Page of Swords. This has kind of a dual meaning. And what this is saying is it's really important that you pay attention to what's going on, because a lot of times in life, I think we can all relate to this, we miss clues. We get busy and we get involved in things, and we miss things that are clues to us. And other times we don't miss it, but it's like this is a card of paying attention and being vigilant. But this is also, pages are about messages, and particularly the Page of Swords has to do with it could be like text messages, any sort of communication, because the element of swords rules the element of air. So that we're talking about communication. So computer, text, any sort of communication, even verbal or even written communication. So pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention, especially how do you know something is kind of an important piece of information. It's how it makes you feel. It's like when I hear something and I think it's important, it'll make me kind of stop and pause just for a second and say, that's interesting, you know. So just pay attention, be aware, because this information is going to help you to, you know, move forward and kind of get unstuck. Now, the Seven of Wands is interesting because, you know, this is something to where, you know, yes, it's standing up for yourself, okay? You know, and holding your ground. But when this card is upright, it means you kind of have the upper hand, but it still means that there could be some sort of a, you know, struggle involved. So this could be standing up for our beliefs. It could be standing up for ourselves and our life, for our needs. Now, this is a big thing with your North Node in Aries or the first house, right? Standing up for what you believe in, okay? But it's a positive card because even though you're working to, you know, stand up for yourself and apply this like Mars Aries energy, it means that you kind of have the upper hand, but it's still work. It's not going to be, you don't want to let your guard down, essentially. And that's what this card is also saying, you know, being vigilant. You can see that the page here is holding the sword, and then this guy here is up on the hilltop, having the upper ground, but still has to fight for what they believe in, right? But as I said, it's going to get you unstuck. Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the Queen of Wands reversed, and you've got the Ten of Wands reversed. Now, the Queen of Wands is interesting. So the court cards, what we call the court cards, which is the King, Queen, Knights, and Pages, they can either be actual people in our lives, represent us or other people in our life, or they could be, you know, archetypal energies, right? In this case, I feel like this is talking about an actual person, but it's talking about you and possibly another person that's involved, okay? How this is relating to you is, remember that wands are ruled by all of the fire signs, okay? So Aries and the first house, you know, being one of those fire signs, right? And that's a fire house. And what this is saying is that this is challenging you to be more Aries-like. This is like a test for you to embody that Aries energy. But now, how this is referring to another person is the person or people involved in this situation, and when this information comes to light, they can it can affect you in a way where it's sparking your emotions, and you can go one of two ways. You can say, okay, I'm standing up for this, what I believe in. I got this piece of information. Or you could go the South Node Libra route, where you're like, okay, well, they didn't mean to say that. They didn't mean to do this. I'm not going to rock the boat. I'm going to keep the harmony, you know, Libra, okay? And so it could be like two different things. So this is telling you it's really important for you to, even if it feels uncomfortable, whatever this information is, for you to stand up for what you truly feel is right in your deepest self. And I'm going to underline self, because the self, yourself, is what needs to be important in this lifetime. Now, the Ten of Wands here reversed is saying that you're going to know how, if you're doing the right thing, when you feel unburdened after it's done. So what do I mean by that? So when we don't follow our North Node path, right? And we decide to, and it's okay, we all do it, when we decide to take like what we can perceive as the more comfortable path, and say, okay, in this case, yeah, I'm not going to fight this battle. I'm just going to like let them kind of get away with it. Immediately we feel a sense of relief. However, what ends up happening is there's this gnawing inside. And that's how we know, like when we fall back on our South Node, it's like immediate gratification. However, it's not after a while, it could be a day, hours, or a day or two later, a week later, it's gnawing at us like, I wish I would have done this other thing, type of a thing. So the way that you are going to know if you're following that is if you truly feel unburdened after you do stand up for yourself, even if it's uncomfortable. And in the immediate aftermath, it could feel uncomfortable, especially with other people. But down the road, a day, several days, a week later, a month later, you're going to feel like, okay, more and more day by day, I did the right thing, I said the right thing, type of a thing. So that's how you know. This is a signal to you when you feel unburdened about the situation. If you days or hours later still feel burdened by it, it's like, well, maybe I didn't kind of do the thing I needed to do. So that's the big clue for you. But yeah, take advantage of this, because again, this is just about your growth. And this is about, you really, really kind of connecting with the highest version of yourself. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd just like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Taurus and or the second house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the King of Cups reversed. Now, the court cards, what we call the court cards, the king, queen, knights, and pages, they can represent actual people in our life, or they could be archetypal energies. In this case, I'm feeling like this is representing a person in your life. A highly emotional person. They could be, a water sign. It could be like a Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio energy. But this is also referring to kind of, your south node in Scorpio and or the eighth house. Okay. Um, what I'm feeling like is that the second half of January, there's going to be this situation where you're going to have to deal with this like highly emotional person with some issue. And the feeling I'm getting, which is interesting, now the king card and the queen card, they're not sex or gender specific. So a king can represent a female in your life, or a queen can represent a male. They're just different flavors of that cups energy. But I guess the difference in the king and the queen energy is it's almost like I'm getting the feeling of like it's like an emotional person, but kind of like a big baby in a way. Like that phrase just kind of comes into mind. In other words, what I mean by that is someone that um like maybe throwing an emotional fit and it doesn't really make sense, like a grown person, getting overly emotional. So it's like kind of the feeling of like over emotional, or kind of, over the top type of a thing. Now, the other thing that I'm feeling for this is there could be an element of emotional manipulation. Okay. Now remember, with your south node, in Scorpio or the eighth house, um, you know, manipulation is there, meaning that that's one of the things that you've had to deal with, uh, your whole life, and also in past lives, most likely. And so there's an element of that, because this is about you standing in your power in this lifetime. And there are tests that come in this lifetime of people trying to either overpower you emotionally, mentally, type of a thing, or kind of doing some kind of manipulation in some way. Let's get some more clarity on how this can play out. We'll look at your timeline cards. So really, really powerful spread here. You've got the World card upright. You've got the 10 of Cups reversed. And you've got the King of Pentacles reversed. Now, I'm going to jump also. We're going to talk about your two advice cards, just because I want to kind of tie these in. You've got the 7 of Wands upright, and you've got the Wheel of Fortune upright. And the reason I wanted to talk about these is I want to talk about these, cards, your first timeline card, the World card upright, and the Wheel of Fortune. This situation that's going to happen this second half, it might not seem like it on the surface, but this is an opportunity for you to really level up on your path. And you see this is like something that's karmic in nature. You've got the World card and you've got the Wheel of Fortune. This can change things around, because the reason that this channel is called Optimal Timelines is we are all on a timeline. And at any given point on our timeline is adjusted by the decisions that we make, the direction we take, or the decisions we don't make, or the directions we don't take, okay? So we are creating our future timeline in each moment of existence. So what this is saying here is that this has the opportunity, this little situation that might seem not that important on the surface, can really kind of change your timeline, okay? So that's how important this is. Now, you've got this 10 of Cups reversed, okay? This is, emotional fulfillment, okay? We can see that there is, a rainbow with a family, dancing underneath it, but it's reversed, right? So this doesn't necessarily mean a family, although for many of you, it probably is going to involve family, okay? It's going to involve your family situation. Could even involve like children. But this card also applies for those of you that don't have families, or this doesn't apply to, and that you don't have children, right? Because this card, the energy of it is like this emotional fulfillment. Now it's reversed because what's happening here is that this is like a roadblock that's coming in with this person in this situation, and it's trying to test you in order to see if you can get past that, because this has to do with your personal life emotional fulfillment, okay? But this is like this, I just feel like it's this energy of like a test or like a roadblock. I mean, you have to kind of get past that. And the reason I also say that is because you've got your 10 of Pentacles reversed. And remember, your North Node in Taurus, or the second house, the King of Pentacles, just like all of the Pentacles, are ruled by all the earth signs, among them Taurus and the second house. And so it's reversed. So this is about the situation is about you keeping on your path to your development, in standing in your path, which is the path of strength and independence, okay? Taurus, the second house. Now, let's go back to your timeline cards here. You've got the Seven of Wands, as I said, and you've got the Wheel of Fortune. We talked about the Wheel of Fortune. The Seven of Wands it's pretty clear on this card. It's about you need to stand your ground, okay? You need to stand strong in this. This is going to take a little bit of work, because this person that could be a little bit emotionally manipulative, I feel like the vast majority of you that are listening to this, watching it, it's going to be someone that is close to you and someone that you know. Because rarely does anybody that is more of a stranger to us, or that we don't know very well, can really emotionally manipulate us. It's very rare. Usually it's those that are kind of close to us. But regardless, this person is going to test you, and so you have to stand your ground. You have to stand with what you know is right, and it's not going to be easy, because when we are dealing with a person like this, especially someone that's close to us, and we know, like, let's just say like a manipulative child or a sibling or someone we're in a romantic partnership, it takes a real strength to be able to say, no, this is how it's going to be. So this is basically saying, stand your ground for what you know is right. Don't give in, because essentially what this is that this is at its base level, a power struggle. Okay. And remember that is a big part of your path with that South Node in Scorpio, or the 8th house. It's about standing in your power. Okay. Standing independently in your power. So it is going to be, and like challenging. But after you do it, if you're able to stand your ground, you're able to, it doesn't mean that you have to necessarily, get rid of this person from your life. I mean, for each person, it's different. It just means that sometimes we have to like stand our ground, put our foot down type of a thing. And that's the energy that I'm kind of getting with this. But yeah, overall can really, really karmically level you up and really set you on a really good course for the rest of this year. So anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd just like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Gemini and or the third house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the Hermit card reversed. And this is interesting because, the Hermit in a lot of ways is referring to, Sagittarius and the 10th house, which is, your south node, the 9th house. Sagittarius 9th house, which is your south node. And it has to do with, the Sagittarius path is the path of truth, but it's the one way to truth. It's our personal belief system, and that it's like what we feel is our personal truth. But in this lifetime, with your North Node in either the third house or Gemini, it's about exchanging your truth with others and maybe adjusting your personal truth and learning from others. It's like this kind of conglomeration of ideas. And, think of it this way, like a lot of times I look at the Hermit kind of like, the wise man or woman, or like a wizard, right? The wizard is in his own domain or her own domain where, they are the wisdom givers of the people that are around them. But when I see that the Hermit is reversed, it's like the Hermit is coming down off the mountain to share his or her wisdom and knowledge and with others in the world, but also connect with other people of wisdom. I like to think of it like a wizard's convention, right? So when the Hermit comes down off the mountain and is dealing, there's lots of other wizards in the world. There's lots of other wise people in the world. And this is the path for you, is to connect with others, exchange information. That's how we can learn from others. So it's not just about our beliefs and our truth. It's about what others believe, and it's about learning from others. Okay. And so I think that this second half of January, you're going to need to come down and you're going to need to not only exchange energy, but I feel like share your wisdom with others that need it. So let's look at the timeline cards. We'll get some more clarity. Okay, so you've got the Two of Swords reversed. You've got the Four of Wands upright, and you've got the Two of Pentacles reversed. So the Two of Swords reversed, what this is saying is that this second half of January, you're going to be tapping into a lot of your intuitive instincts. And this is what's really interesting when we look at the polarity of Gemini Sagittarius, or third house, ninth house. It's not really well known that you are highly intuitive, even psychic in some ways. And the reason for that is that you've had so many lifetimes of acquiring knowledge. It's almost like become like second nature. And so there's something that's very intuitive about that polarity of Gemini Sagittarius. And this is going to come into play this second half. So what does that mean? There's two parts to our intuition. There's one part to get that intuitive hit, and the other part is to recognize it and act on it. Because when psychic hits or intuitive hits come in, people a lot of times have the misconception that they come in with a lot of fanfare and trumpets blowing, like this is a psychic revelation, and it doesn't happen that way. They just kind of come in as a thought, and or just like a basic feeling. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to pay attention to where when a thought comes in that's interesting, just kind of play with it for a minute, and that's how you're going to know, okay, this feels like this is a little bit more than just a normal thought. Now, this Four of Wands is interesting because I feel like there's going to be something to where there's going to be for a lot of you, this is going to have to do with a gathering of some sort. So it's either going to come as like some sort of a celebration, maybe a birthday, a Super Bowl party, a wedding, or just some, even if it's a more casual gathering, even if it's like a dinner party or something like that, or a barbecue. But there's it's going to come within that, and the people involved in this are going to need you in some sort of a way, because again, in this lifetime, part of your path is sharing your wisdom and exchanging wisdom with others. So I feel like it's going to happen at a gathering. Now, the Two of Pentacles reversed is saying that I feel like there's going to be a situation where the people are going to need you because there's some sort of an imbalance, and you're going to feel it. Someone could be going through something. Okay. And I actually feel like it's going to be maybe two or more separate people that are going to kind of need you in some way, but also that you're going to learn from. But it's going to be like they're thrown off in some way. They're kind of off balance or in distress, and you're going to be able to kind of recognize that, and then your intuition is going to tell you, even if it's not apparent. That's where your intuition comes in. You're like, this person kind of needs me, and maybe I need them a little too, and to do this exchange. You're going to feel that intuitively, but it's going to be because you kind of feel that there's something like even under the surface or under the radar that's kind of going on. Now, to get even more clarity, let's look at your advice cards. So you've got the King of Swords reversed, and you've got the Queen of Cups reversed. Now, all of the court cards, the King, Queen, Knights, and Pages, as I always say, can represent actual people in our life, or they can represent archetypal energies. In this case, I feel like they're talking about people. And I feel like these are the people that are needing your help and needing this exchange of information, something that you have to give, something inside you that can help in some way. Okay, this interaction is important. And on the surface, it might seem like, oh, I really don't feel like kind of interacting, but really follow that intuitive hit. If you feel like, well, there's something that I could, give to them or say to them that could be of help, definitely do it. Now, this first person, that is the King of Swords, not necessarily, the king and queens are not sex or gender specific, so it could be a female or male. But I feel like it has to do with someone that may have trouble with negative thinking or negative communication, whether that be communication outwardly or even like their own personal, inner dialogue with themselves. Okay. So, but they're very maybe like overthinking or worrying, or it's like, there's something going on mentally that's causing them distress kind of emotionally. And I feel like you can be of service and help to them in some way. Okay. And this, again, this is about you you're coming off that south node path of Sagittarius, which is, the hermit on the mountaintop, following your truth, and you're coming down now to have this exchange with those around you. Okay. And one of the gifts that you have, and I mentioned this a few times, but I feel like I need to mention this again, but I've mentioned it, many times in readings, is one of the gifts you have this problem solving, like a puzzle solving or a problem solving gift within you, meaning that you have the ability to see a situation, analyze a situation, and figure out a way through it. Okay, that's that, Mercury, Gemini, quick thinking, um, sharp mind type of energy. And so that's something how you're gonna help this person. Now, this Queen of Cups reversed, I feel like this is going to be as opposed to something that's more kind of mental with this other person. This Queen of Cups is something that's more they're emotionally distraught, and you're going to be able to help them in some way. Okay, and you're going to find out a way of, kind of something that you tell them, or um some way you can help solve what's going on with them, even if it's just like listening, and just giving some sort of advice. Now, what's interesting about this is that normally when you see a Gemini North Node path or third house, you're in this lifetime you're not supposed to a lot of times give off a lot of advice. A lot of times this path is more listening, okay? But I think like this is like a kind of a dual energy here. It's about you listening to the situation, using the skills you have of problem solving, and then giving advice. So it's like this three-step thing of listening, using that problem solving, and then giving advice, as opposed to what a Sagittarius or ninth house South Node would do, is just like, oh, this is the advice I want to give you, without really listening. And because that's a key, listening is a key word for you in this lifetime. So listen, problem solve, using your intuition, okay, and your knowledge, and then kind of give advice. And so, yeah, this is really major thing as far as leveling up, because that three-step process can be repeated. Always remember that before advice is given, make sure that you really hear what's going on and understand it. Really work it out in your head. Okay, does this make sense? Using your intuition, and then kind of giving advice. But this is one of your gifts that you're here to share, in this lifetime, and it can be really a way for you to add value to those around you, in your life. And it's to where people will, the more you do this, will seek out your advice. Many times, people that have this North Node can end up being great counselors, whether professionally or just kind of within their own like circles. Okay, but yeah, really powerful second half of January for you. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd just like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Cancer and or the fourth house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the Devil card reversed. Now, as I always explain in my readings, to all of the so-called scary cards in the tarot deck, the Devil, Death, the Tower, they're cards that are not to be feared, right? Because we're not talking about a literal devil or a demon, okay? But these are energies that are archetypal in nature, right? So what does the Devil card represent? Well, it represents our deep-seated fears and anxieties. It could be addictions. It could be addicted to ways of being. So addictions to physical substances or just ways of being, but kind of like deep-seated fears or obsessions. In this case, what I'm feeling is I feel like the Devil's reversed, and what's happening is this second half of January, a lot of you are being freed from a lot of like your own personal demons that were holding you back in some way. Things where when you overcome something, it's like, oh man, like the old saying, I got that monkey off my back, or that demon off my shoulder, type of thing. You're overcoming some deep-seated anxieties and working your way through it. And it hasn't been an easy road, but I feel like this second half of January, you're going to be able to kind of do that, and you're going to be able to move forward in some way, and move forward with kind of a clearer energy field, so you're clearing a lot of these deep-seated fears and anxieties, and maybe even addictions, addicted to ways of being in your life or those around you. Now, for some of you, when this card comes up, you may be dealing with someone in your life that has addictions, or maybe, and addictions come in many forms, not only physically, but we could be addicted to, food, or, porn, or whatever the case may be. Like, there's different things that we could be addicted to. But for a lot of you, it's just going to be like these fears that are deep seated. Now, let's look at your timeline cards, and we'll kind of get some more clarity. So you've got the Magician card reversed. You've got the Queen of Cups reversed. And you've got the Judgment card upright. Now, we'll take these first two cards. You've got the Magician card reversed, and you've got the Queen of Cups reversed. I feel like the Queen of Cups reversed is talking about a person in your life, and also in a situation, but it's highly, emotional. And when I see the Magician reverse, a lot of times that could be like anything from like a con artist, or someone that is a manipulator, and they're very kind of good at it. And so I feel like these two cards are going hand in hand. You may be having to deal with someone in your life that is mentally or emotionally manipulative, and it could be very hard to deal with. Like, when we have someone like that in our life, whether they be, really close to us in a romantic relationship, partnership, or a family member, or a close friend, or even someone at work, when we deal with someone like that, especially for a long period of time, it can really take its toll. And I feel like, that's what this Devil card reversed is saying, is like, you're finally going to be able to get through this and past this with this person. Now, how you're going to do it is, I feel like this Judgment card, this is about an awakening. Okay. You can see here that, the archangel is blowing their horn. This is the universe trying to get people's attention down here. And these people, like a man, woman, and child, and other people, they're coming out of a grave. Now, does that mean that literal dead rising? No. What this card means is that when we have an awakening, we are coming from one state of not knowing, or a dead state, into a state of knowing. And I feel like there's going to be something that happens this second half of January that's going to give you this awakening. That's maybe you're going to see something, some aspect of your life, or some relationship in your life more clearly, that's going to be able to free you up in some way. Okay. And you're going to see it for what it is. And maybe for some of you, I think all of you know at an intuitive level that it was maybe a kind of manipulative relationship. Others may not want to, have like face it or whatever. And so it's going to be something where you're going to know for sure, okay, like, I see things clearly now. It's like when someone in our life, throughout our life, we've all experienced this at least one time, where we think they're one way, and then they show themselves to be another, and we're like, okay, Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that we get rid of these people all the time in our life, okay? Because they could even be like our child. I mean, children can sometimes be very manipulative, and we finally kind of figure them out and get their number, and we're like, okay, you're not going to do that anymore. But it just means that when we become aware of it, it frees us up, okay? Let's look at your advice cards. So you've got the Knight of Pentacles reversed, and you've got the Strength card. Okay. The Knight of Pentacles reversed is saying, the Knights are cards of movement. And knowing this information is getting you unstuck. Okay. It's helping you to move forward. Okay. And you're going to realize, wow, like this was when we finally realize things in our life. A lot of times it's like, oh, now I see it. Now I get it. And the result of that is we get unstuck, whether that be mentally, emotionally, even physically, we get unstuck and we get free of something. And that's kind of the energy of what's going to happen here, but you have to recognize it. Now, the other advice card, the strength card, okay, is saying that, dealing with this situation isn't about necessarily using like aggression or over assertion in this, okay? Because you could see that, you know, um, the maiden here is very lovingly taming this lion, and the lion is representing this situation. Okay, it could feel like, she's having compassion, she's using, gentleness. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to be gentle in this, meaning that you may have to kind of stand your ground on something or whatever, but you don't want to approach it in a way that, you want to approach it, I guess what this is really telling me is, in a more delicate and balanced way. Okay. So it's not so black and white, like, oh, I see you now. Okay, bye, boom. It's more of it's like finesse. Okay. More kind of, balanced is what it's saying, but still taking action. Okay. So it's that kind of energy. And essentially what this is really doing for your path is, this is you tapping into one of the gifts that you naturally have, which is emotional intelligence and tact. Okay. Using finesse, emotional finesse. Okay. The world that we live in is not black and white. Okay. There are many different shades, okay, between black and white. And what we're dealing with here is we're dealing with something that needs to be more done with subtlety and finesse. And that's what true emotional intelligence is. Emotional intelligence isn't black, white, on, off. It's like being able to use, all of our faculties emotionally in order to navigate situations in our life. So, yeah, very, very powerful stuff. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd just like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. See you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Leo and or the 5th house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the 9 of Wands upright. And this is telling me, this is a card of learning from our past, learning from our past experience, our past battles, our past wins. Okay. You can see here that the person standing here, with a bandage over their head, meaning that, they've had a past time where they've went down and they took some hard knocks, but they're still standing. And all of the wands behind this person are showing that, all of their past experience. So this second half of January, there's something to where it's saying you really want to tap into what has happened in the past. Okay. So what do I mean by that? As we're navigating our timeline and moving through our life, situations come up, and this has happened to all of us, but have you ever like went through your life and then say like, wow, why did I repeat that pattern? Why did I do that? Because it's like we'll be moving through our life like a movie, and we'll just kind of do the same thing again, and then we go back and say, why did I do that? So what this is saying is that as situations come up, we have to ask ourselves, okay, have I gone down this road before? Have I done something similar? And is it going to give me similar, results? That's about learning from our past, not repeating patterns essentially. And that's what kind of this second half of January is. You're going to have an opportunity to learn from your past and say, oh, you know what, I'm not going to repeat that pattern because I've tried that. And that's essentially what this second half of January is saying. Now let's look at your timeline cards here. You've got the Four of Cups upright. You've got the Empress card upright, and you've got the Ace of Cups reversed. So what's going on here, obviously, is that this is about, for most of you, it's going to be about your emotional past, right? And the person sitting under this tree here, you can see that they're somewhat confused, distraught, baffled, staring at these cups here, not noticing this other cup that's coming in there. Now that this other cup could represent information from the universe, from our guides, but in this case, a lot of times it could be like, wait, is there something you're not seeing? You're concentrating on these cups, but you're not taking everything into consideration. Again, your emotional past. And so what's going on here is that I feel like there's going to be a situation that's going to be highly emotional for you this second half. And you're supposed to make take a different path, make a different choice emotionally than you normally would have in the past. And that's going to be the key in kind of moving forward. And simply to do that, what you have to do is, let's say you have an emotional situation or some situation in your life, and you think to yourself, at some point, all of us say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to send this email, this text. I'm going to talk to this person. I'm going to do this thing in this situation, right? Before you actually do it, once you make your decision to do something, just simply say, okay, like, is this really, it's kind of like this, like, second chance. Like, do I really want to do this? Is this something that I've kind of done before? Or maybe it's like rethink it type of a thing. So that's all this is saying, is rethinking it, and in as far as what direction you take. Just make sure that you haven't done it before or something similar. Now the Empress is saying that really what's at stake here is, the Empress in many ways is about personal empowerment. Okay, standing in your power, living a rich and fulfilled life. It's essentially like being fulfilled. The Empress, you can see there's the sigil for the planet Venus here, okay, with this heart. And this is about, living and becoming the person that you're kind of meant to be. And this is how this feels, because what's really motivating all of us, but especially you in this situation, is, the desire to want to be the best version of yourself that you can be. But your instincts sometimes are saying, okay, let me just do this, right? But you're not really kind of thinking it through. So really make sure that this is going to get you to where you want to be. Just say, like, emotionally, is this really what I want to do? And do I feel it deep in my inner self? Because that's where the answer is going to lie. Remember, you've got your North Node in Leo, okay, ruled by the Sun, and this North Node in Leo, or the fifth house, your solar plexus, your inner knowing of your heart and in your gut, is going to tell you what's right. And that's what this is saying. Like, really don't try to just figure it out through your mind, but really feel it within your deep self. And this Ace of Cups is the other thing that is playing out here, is that it's difficult because your emotions, when something emotional happens to us, we can't really navigate it clearly, because, like, when we're in the heat of our emotions or our passions, or our thoughts are swirling, it's hard to get a really good read. So just know that's why pausing and really looking at, okay, is this the direction I want to go? Have I done this before like this? And is it going to give me the results? Just that pausing is going to give you the kind of peace in order to make a good decision. Because let's face it, I mean, we've all had the situation where we've made decisions at the spur of the moment because we were emotional or we were mentally distraught, and then we're like, oh man, why did I do that? Right. And so that's what this is saying, that's, you want to take that kind of pause. Again, that's what the Emperor is saying. Sit in your own power and really kind of, you don't need to react necessarily too quickly. Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the Queen of Pentacles upright, and you've got the Knight of Pentacles reversed. The Queen of Pentacles in many ways is, related to the Empress card, because both of these cards are ruled by the planet Venus. But really what this is saying here is that when you're able to learn from your past, okay, though this is the whole crux of the reading, when you're able to learn from your past and make decisions where you're not repeating patterns, what you end up doing is creating a more secure life, a more serene life, and a more stable life. Okay, Queen of Pentacles. Okay, so that is the advantage of being able to not repeat patterns, is having all of that. And so that's what you're working toward by doing this, by saying like, okay, I'm going to really work at this month, this year, not repeating patterns and kind of doing things differently, but with the thoughtfulness, right? Now, the Knight of Pentacles here reversed is, what this is doing too is, when we don't repeat patterns, we get unstuck. Okay. So let's look at this in another way. We all know people like this that we've known throughout our life. I know all of us can relate, where we see them. They could be a friend, a family member, where they keep repeating pattern after pattern, right? So let's say if it's someone regarding girlfriends or boyfriends, right? They keep choosing the same type of partner. Okay, we hear this all the time, right? Why do they choose the same over and over? Like, we see this pattern repeated, right? And what ends up happening is, the more we don't learn from our past and we keep repeating patterns, we're staying stuck. So what this is doing is, this is giving you the power to unstick yourself. Okay. So just like that person who is repeating the same pattern over and over is staying stuck, this is getting you unstuck. And the interesting thing is, I'm seeing this kind of unstuck energy for many of the North nodes this month. It's kind of in the air. There's a lot of things going on astrologically, planetary wise, that is very, very powerful. So it's kind of helping this energy of like, this is an opportunity for all of us to kind of get unstuck in ways that we are stuck. So anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you just like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Virgo and or the 6th house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the Judgment card reversed. Now, this is a card of listening to messages outside ourselves. Now, that could be, from the universe. Sometimes it can mean, universal messages. It could be our spirit guides, our angelic guardians. Sometimes it could be our own higher self. And I feel like what this is saying is that the second half of January, you're being asked to really tap into some of your gifts, which are in your South Node, Pisces and or the 12th house, which is listening to your higher self, your higher self-guidance that's trying to come in and it's trying to tell you something. And when you do this, you're going to be able to kind of, navigate this situation that's going on. It's basically helping you to um, like readjust some area or areas of your life and get you on a new direction. But the thing about it is that if you're the answers that you need are going to come from within yourself. Okay, that's what this is saying. So this higher self part of you, that this Pisces South node is going to help you to really understand what's going on in the situation. Now, let's look at your timeline to see what's going on here. So you've got the Lovers card upright. You've got the Two of Pentacles reversed, and you've got the Wheel of Fortune reversed. Now, the Lovers card, yes, I mean, many times, obviously, it could be like a romantic partnership, but not necessarily. Sometimes we could be talking about very close connections with people that are even, like friendships, even connections to career, because, with the archangel up here, it's very karmic in nature. But I think like there's let's just say, a very personal relationship that this has to do with, and you're being asked to tap into your higher self wisdom in order to navigate it. Now, as I said, for each of you, it could be, your romantic partnerships or someone very close to you, but it's a very, very personal relationship. Now you've got this, Two of Pentacles, right, reversed. Now the situation is confusing and it can seem upside down. For many of you, it could involve money, finances, property, making decisions such as that. And there's a confusion going on, about this, and it could seem like, with this Wheel of Fortune, that the outlook, the feeling I'm getting is you don't feel positive about it, but there is an answer here to this, okay? But the way it could feel is like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know, and this doesn't necessarily mean that it's about money and finances, but it's things of value. It could even be your time, your love, anything of value are pentacles. But whatever it's about, whether it be, something like physical money, finances, or whether it's your time and your love and in the relationship, it can give the feeling, if you let it, of like it's not headed in a good direction. But I don't really feel that. I feel like that there's this answer, even though your mind may be telling you, okay, I don't necessarily like see a good way forward. The answer is, I really feel, within you, and you can really kind of change this energy around. Okay. So, but this is the way that in readings, I like to tell people how it's going to feel, because how it feels in the moment is way different than the way that it could end up, type of a thing, right? So it's a different thing that is entirely when we change that energy. So just know that the way it could feel is not the way it's going to end up necessarily. Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the Chariot card reversed, and you've got the Queen of Pentacles reversed. Okay, now, the Chariot is a card of movement, and it's a card of making balanced moves, or balancing polarities. You could see the black Sphinx and the white Sphinx on either side of the Chariot, which is moving forward. We move forward when we're balanced, okay? So it's not about black or white. If we take one side of a polarity, it's going to pull us off to one side or the other. We're not going to go in a good direction. So this is, again, we see another card of balance here. In order to move forward, we're going to need to be balanced. The answer is found between the two sides, the two extremes, the two polarities, and the answer is within you. Now, for a lot of you, the reason that this, Judgment card came up is, remember, you have gifts of intuition, you have gifts of a higher self because of that Pisces South node, or 12th house south node. So a lot of times, just like sitting quiet within your thoughts, of course, if some of you meditate, you don't have to get into a yoga Zen position to meditate. Just sitting quietly, closing your eyes, breathing, seeing what is inside you, just taking that moment to observe, and that's where the answers are going to be found. But again, this is about getting you on the right direction. But remember, you don't want the answer isn't going to be found in one extreme or the other. It's going to be found in the balance between the two. Now, the Queen of Pentacles reversed is saying that, again, the way it's going to feel is it's going to feel in the moment a little bit unstable, mentally and emotionally. It's going to feel weird. But the more you sit with this and the more that you go within yourself to find the answer, it's going to have the ability to stabilize. So that's the thing I'm getting from this reading, is that the way forward, even though it might not be an instant fix, the way forward, when your intuition clicks and you're like, oh, okay, I feel like this is the way to go. And you go within to find the answer and then, act on that. Because it's almost like the feeling I'm getting from this reading is the whole situation could be so distracting that you're in your mind, you're looking out here, you're not within yourself. And so this essentially is saying, when you kind of pause for a minute, go within, like seek the answer from within yourself. Ask yourself. One of the powerful things you could do in a meditation is just like, whatever the situation is, show me the path that's for my highest good and highest happiness. Show me the answer to this situation that's for my highest good and highest happiness. You just kind of repeat that mantra, breathe and relax. And that's kind of how we go within. Spend a few minutes a day doing that. But the natural inclination for a lot of us is we are seeking answers with, outside of ourselves, and in this case, one of your great gifts that you have brought into this lifetime is the power of your higher self and your intuition. And this is saying to tap into that. When you do, you'll find the answers, and then this Queen of Pentacles is going to be upright, okay? And you're going to feel like secure and stable, and there is a way out of this, okay? And so I know it seems strange a lot of times when we tell people, like, because we're so used to, as humans, seeking answers outside ourselves. But this is a time where the answer to this is inside you. You just have to kind of tap into it. So try that out. Try those mantras out. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd just like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. See you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Libra and or the 7th house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the reversed King of Wands. Now, if you remember from previous readings, your South Node is in Aries and or the 1st house. And the wands represent, your South Node, okay, because they represent all the fire signs. When I saw this card drop, I automatically was thinking, okay, this is referring to your South Node getting activated. The reason I say that is because right now, astrologically, without going into too much detail, Aries, the sign of Aries, is being activated by, various planetary alignments, okay, through mid-January and on into February, okay? So there's this activation. So people that have a South Node in Aries or the 1st house could be getting activated in different ways. So those Aries type patterns could be coming up, okay? And so that's how it works in astrology, like different planetary alignments, different aspects trigger each of us a little bit differently. So what's happening here is there could be this flare up, if you will, of tendencies of maybe like impulsiveness, impulsive communication, impulsive actions, maybe, feeling a little bit kind of, angry about something where, something kind of triggers you. Okay. So this is like a trigger warning, right? Now, this is how it's going to play out. We'll look at your timeline cards. So you've got the Emperor reversed. You've got the Page of Swords reversed. And you've got the Queen of Swords reversed. Now, again, the reason I say that this is an Aries trigger is if you look at the Emperor card, on the throne, there are two ram's heads here, okay? So this is representing, this card, one of the signs it represents is Aries. And what this is really doing is that when Aries energy is flared up, many times what happens is it could feel like when we get triggered, if we have Aries energy and it gets triggered, it could feel like someone that is overstepping their bounds, toward us, or kind of like challenging our authority type of a thing. That's the way it can feel. And so again, this is saying like, just be aware of it. And so this is really a time, the second half of January and, on through. I mean, this is good to do all the time, but especially now within the next like month and a half to 2 months, to really count to 10. So when you feel an impulse to say something or do something, it doesn't mean don't do it, but it means, or don't say it. It means just simply like pause for a minute. It's like count to 10, right? Really think about it. Okay, do I really want to say this? Do I really want to kind of do that? Because I feel like these triggers, could be popping up for you. Okay, and this is a time where for you to recognize those triggers, because part of our North Node South Node path is really recognizing when they flare up. Because what I always tell clients is our South Node, no matter how much we work on it, never completely goes away, because it's really ingrained in us and it's ingrained in our desires. So it's basically our natural way of being. But what ends up happening is the more we kind of get used to our path, the more that we can recognize it and kind of nip it in the bud type of a thing, right? Now, going on to your next card on your timeline, the reversed Page of Swords. Pages are about communication. That's one other thing, messages, right? And this is reversed here. And it's saying like, again, I think that this second half of January, really pay attention to your communications, whether that be, verbally, towards someone, through a text, through an email, even a phone call, something like that. Okay. Really, really pay attention to it. Because when I talk to my North nodes in Libra or the 7th house, when I talk to them and I say, okay, have you had many instances throughout your life where you said or did something and later regretted it? And most of them go, I mean, not most of them, all of them, they go, yeah. I mean, all of us can relate to that, but especially this is true with people that have a South Node in Aries or the 1st house. They're like, yeah, I kind of wish I could have taken that back, what I said and did. And so this is just kind of a heads up. Now, this is the weird thing about working with our North Node, South Node is that when we stop ourselves, it sounds like so easy, like, oh, all I have to do is just stop myself. But it's kind of like stopping something that has, like a moving vehicle of some sort, like this inertia. It's not so easy because it feels so strong. It's like trying to stop, a boulder rolling down from the hill because it's got all that pressure. But just remember, when you do that, if you can just pause and then maybe rethink the words you're going to say or rethink the action you're going to take, it can really, really pay off. So essentially what happens with this North Node, South Node that you have is it feels like when you don't do the thing that you impulsively want to do, when you don't say the thing, it could feel like there's a loss of power. But what ends up happening for people that have this North Node is they realize there is much more power in the ability to have control. When you have that control, that is much more powerful. But in the moment, it seems like this is a diminishment of my power if I don't do this, if I don't say that, okay? And so that's really how this feels. Now, going on to the Queen of Swords here, I feel like this is talking about the trigger point, okay? This is representing a person that could be the trigger point. It could be someone that you know, says something towards you or does something, and this is where we get triggered. And so just be aware of it. Be aware, like be prepared. It's kind of like this is like a good use of the Aries energy for your South Node. When someone prepares, like when they learn martial arts, they're preparing themselves for a time when they may need to protect themselves, or they may need to protect someone else. This is kind of the same energy. When you hear this reading, what you're doing is you're prepping yourself for when someone says or does something, and so you can have the appropriate action. This is like the heads up, right? So you're not expecting it necessarily, but you're just prepared for it. And so I feel like this is representing a person. Could be a male, could be a female. For each of you, it's different. It could even be someone younger, okay? But it's something that is could be like this trigger point, and just be prepared for it. So when you get triggered, it's okay. You feel it. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm triggered. They did something. They said something. Now, just calmly think about it. Pause a minute. Even if you have to just walk away momentarily, or just kind of take that brief pause in that brief moment and maybe say something that's not quite as reactive, okay? And when you do that, you're going to see that you'll be glad you did kind of wait and not jump into things. Now, why do I say that? Your two advice cards are, you've got the Moon card and you've got the Eight of Cups. The Moon is saying that there is something that is you're not aware of in this situation. So there's a piece of the puzzle, there's a bit of information that you aren't aware of. And when you get that information, then your whole mindset will change, okay? um there's a video that has been circulating for like a couple of years, and it was, some of you may have seen it, right? And it's this person, this guy that is standing out on the boardwalk near a beach, and he's eating an ice cream cone, and he's eating this ice cream cone, and this other person, this male, this other male starts thinking that this person, this other male eating the ice cream cone, is like looking at him while he's licking this ice cream cone. And so the male approaches, he gets all offended, like, what's the deal? Why are you, and then it turns out, long story short, that, the male was blind. He was just looking, he wasn't looking at him because he was blind. He was just, his eyes were in that direction while he was licking the ice cream cone, okay? So my point in this is that the bit of information that this person who got triggered didn't know was that that other male was blind. It was not that he was like sensually licking the ice cream cone in order to trigger this guy, type of a thing, okay? So what I'm saying is that many times in life, what we end up finding out is, for example, maybe someone, people have different reactions for, it doesn't justify, bad behavior, but let's say someone lost someone close to them, or they just found out they have this serious health issue, okay? And then it's coming out in different ways, and then we get triggered. So there's a bit of information that when you pause and you don't react and say something within this situation, you're going to find out, oh, okay, I understand now a little bit better. So there's hidden information. And then this Eight of Cups is interesting because what this ends up doing is you end up, cups are about emotions, right? And normally this card is about like walking away from emotions, but for you there's more than that. What it's doing is, if you can see here that all the cups are stacked up neatly, this is about making sense of our emotional reactions, making sense like, okay, I'm in control. It takes control to stack a bunch of cups one on the other. You're not just throwing them in the corner or throwing them out in the dirt, right? It takes a bit of control to say, okay, there's one, there's two. Okay, so this is about emotional control. And that is powerful. So that's what this reading is about learning that the power of not acting, the power of not reacting is a huge skill to have in this lifetime, especially for those that have their North Node in Libra and or the 7th house. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd just like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Scorpio and or the 8th house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the Queen of Pentacles upright. Now, this card, all of the court cards, as I always say, the king, queen, knights, and pages are the court cards, and they can represent either, archetypal energies, or they can represent actual people in our life. In this case, this is representing your south node in Taurus or the second house. And this is one of these rare times where we need to tap into our south node gifts, because there are lots and lots of gifts that are in our south node. And this is a time to do that. This second half of January for you is really tapping into that Taurus south node of serenity, of stability, of, really taking your time and not getting, emotionally swayed one way or the other, just really standing in your personal power. And that's a key word for this second half of January is personal power. When to express that power and when to kind of control it. Now let's look at your timeline cards. We'll get some more clarity. So you've got the Two of Swords upright. You've got the Two of Wands upright. And you've got the Five of Swords upright. Now, the Two of Swords here is saying, okay, what's going to happen in the second half of January is you're being asked to really control your emotions. And this is where you're going to be relying on that kind of Taurus stability, standing in your power, where there's something that has the ability, and I'm seeing this a lot for a lot of the North Nodes, where there could be this trigger point, for you, where something, and it's almost like I'm getting the feeling of like a power play, where throughout different times in our life, especially when we're dealing with someone with a North Node in Scorpio or the 8th house, the word power, powerful and powerless, all of that, power plays come into our viewpoint when we have this North Node. And I feel like you're being asked to not let something trigger you. Now, the reason for that is that it seems like a lot of you are just kind of you're living your life with this Two of Wands. You're trying to plan out the future that you want to live in for yourself. And it's almost like I get the feeling a lot of you are just doing your thing, kind of, minding your own business, and you're living your life. You are doing you. And I feel like there's this thing where all of a sudden, something happens where there's this kind of trigger point that's maybe trying to throw you off your game, but it's like a power play. That's what this five of swords is saying. It could be like, it's almost like, for some of you, it could be like an envy or jealousy thing where someone is coming in, or it could just be just kind of out of the blue. It could, I feel like it's going to take a lot of you maybe off guard, and you're being asked to really stand in that power. And this is where that Taurus energy of like stability, steadfastness can really, come into play. There is a time with your North Node to really, get down and dirty and, mix it up with people and situations, go deep psychologically and things like that. Okay. But this is kind of a situation where you're being asked to like hold back, because it could trigger you into a situation where it actually could be taking power away from you. So, for each of you, it's going to be different, but it could be something, someone says or does that's like, not nice or kind of nasty, and that is like a power play or a way to disempower you. And I feel like for some of you, it's because of like kind of envy or a jealousy that could be coming from this other, place toward you. And that's why a lot of times, envy and jealousy comes and it blindsides us because we don't readily see it. It's almost like kind of like a frenemy situation, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a quote unquote friend. It could be, someone other close to you. It could be a family member, a workmate, something like that. But what you want to do is, you just don't want, this is a time to like not get triggered. And that's part of learning the way to express your power is that there's a time not to react. And this is, as I said, I'm seeing this a lot for the North nodes, really learning that there are different levels of power. Like when we look as humans, we look at, if you ask people, well, what is power? We think of like, the aggression of power or expressing power. But a lot of times it's about what we kind of don't do and don't say. So this is one of those times where it could just take you back, and you're just like, wow, I didn't really see that coming. And so you don't want to like react to it. Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the Eight of Cups and you've got the Temperance card reversed. So the Temperance card, reverse, this is about inner alchemy. This is about, temperance is about what are we doing when we temper metal. So when like a sword maker or a blacksmith, when they temper metal, what they're doing is they're heating it and they're pounding it and doing this over and over, dipping it in water, doing it over and over. And what that does is that tempers the steel, and it makes it stronger by doing this process over and over and over again. Okay, that's how, swords are made. That's how cutlery is made. Is tempered steel is really alchemy. It's changing a piece of metal into tempered steel, and that's really what this is doing. Is that this is helping you to inner alchemize different areas of your life, and giving you this other, I guess, like superpower, right? Where you could say, okay, I have this. I have the ability to stand in my power and not let someone take it away from me by like not engaging in whatever this is. The ability to, again, the Eight of Cups here, the ability to walk away and not let it, a lot of times we need to walk away from things, and sometimes we need to engage. Sometimes when we walk away, we're running away from something. But in this case, what this is that you're just not supposed to engage in this. And that's so the heads up is, don't let this trigger you to where you engage, because you're getting in this power struggle that ultimately isn't going to benefit you. And so the power move is just to say, I'm good. I'm not going to get involved in this, and walk away. And this is very Taurus South Node. This is a time to use this strength, standing in your power, because, as I said in the beginning of this reading, the word power and power plays, anything to do with personal power is a big thing for you in this lifetime. And sometimes the most powerful thing to do is not to engage. And that's what this is saying. So when this happens, realize that and say, okay, do I really need to get involved in this, or is it better for me just to like walk away? Because that's a huge power move in this case and in many times. So it's a great skill to have this superpower in your back pocket. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd just like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. See you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Sagittarius and or the 9th house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the 9 of Swords. And I'm feeling like a lot of you lately may have had trouble of like maybe some worries and anxiety that has been like kind of gnawing at you. And this is very, very common with your South Node, which is, Gemini or 3rd house. And I feel like there could be like worry, anxiety, like overthinking or like worrying about the future or worrying about the present moment type of a thing. But for a lot of it, it could be like, I'm feeling like worries about the future or just like anxiety about the future, about, about your life and where it is you're, supposed to go. One of the things that you want to keep in mind with your South Node in Sagittarius or the 9th house is realizing that with that South Node that you have in Gemini or the 3rd, which is ruled by the planet Mercury, which has to do with, communication and thinking, like, intellect and thought processes. And your mind, most people that have a South Node in, the 3rd house or Gemini, your mind is a great gift to you, but it's like this double-edged sword, okay? Where on the one hand, it's a huge gift. Most of you have like a very kind of sharp mind, good communication, good problem solving skills. Okay, so you have gifts there. But there is also an issue with sometimes overthinking things, okay, overusing the mind. And so in this lifetime, what you're needing to do is you're needing to not rely so much on the mind, but other gifts that you have. Like, so our minds are organs of perception, okay? We can perceive things just mentally, okay? That is true. And there's a time and a place for that. But we can also perceive things, our world, emotionally, with that being the strongest thing. We also can approach the world and perceive it intuitively, okay? Which has to do with not only our heart and our emotions, but also it's engaging in our instincts and our solar plexus, okay? So there are different ways to perceive things. And what can happen a lot of times with a North Node in Sagittarius or the 9th house is there could be too much reliance to trying to figure things out just using our mind or primarily our mind. And what you're being asked to do is, you're feeling that anxiety is because you want to begin to engage in other ways to perceive things, which is your intuition through your heart and your emotions, and also your natural, gut instincts, your natural animal instincts, which is also an intuitive way of kind of perceiving things. Okay, now let's get some more clarity. We'll look at your timeline cards. So you've got the Star card upright. You've got the 8 of Cups reversed, and you've got the 9 of Cups upright. So starting with the Star card, this reading and what I'm about to tell you is something that is very karmic in nature, meaning that the skill in order to control your mind and bring up other ways of perceiving your world is something that is part of your karmic path. It's something that shouldn't be taken lightly, okay? And what happens is when the mind gets overused, it's like anything else that it just gets worn down and it starts to not be as sharp, or we get in these like mental loops, right? And that's what creates the worry and anxiety. But you're worried about the future, you're possibly worried about situation that's currently in your life, but now begin to perceive it now from a different way. And that this is tricky. It's not easy, but you begin to perceive it emotionally. What are you emotionally feeling? Block out the mind. What are you emotionally feeling about things? This is the karmic nature of your path. What are you perceiving intuitively? What are your gut instincts? Okay. So really there are three primary ways that humans perceive things. As I said, we have mind, we have intuition, and yes, our third eye is here, but it's connected to the strongest organ in the body, which is the heart. It has the biggest electromagnetic field, even more than the mind, right? So we have our intuition, and then we have our natural instincts, solar plexus, um, sacral chakra, okay, down here. So these three areas. Now, most of us use a blend of all of them. Some of us maybe use one more than the other. There's people that maybe need to use their mind more than their heart, okay? But this is very karmic in nature for you in order to bring the energy that you're using just in your mind and bring it down into these other areas. Now, the Eight of Cups reversed is saying that, again, it you need to make sure that you're not walking away from these intuitive hits that you have. Your intuition is how do you know if your intuition is being triggered? Okay, well, it's a feeling. Okay, it's not a thought. And what most people don't realize about, when we look at Sagittarius, Gemini, or ninth house, third house, is you are very naturally intuitive. And that's not really talked about a lot, but it is very true. And so the only problem is that sometimes the mind overrides your natural intuition, because you get an intuitive hit and then your mind says, I don't know, I don't really trust that. That's just a feeling I have, so I'm going to go with what my mind says, type of a thing. So that's what this is saying, is that the second half of January, you want to engage in that. Use your intuition. So when you're worried about something and have anxiety, instead of trying to run the puzzles in your head, go into her and say, like, well, how do I feel about this? And the difficult thing is, many times your intuition and your gut instincts might differ from the mind many times. And then you have to decide, well, who am I going to listen to? Am I going to listen to my head, or am I going to listen to my intuition, my heart, and my solar plexus, type of a thing, right? Now, the Nine of Cups here, this is called the Wish card. What the other thing you're going to know when you get this intuitive hit, even if it doesn't make sense to your mind, is emotionally, without trying to put any sort of like quantify whatever this emotional hit is, right? When you get it, how does it make you feel, and how does it make you feel about your future? How does it make you feel about what it is you want to accomplish in life? In other words, does it have this kind of a feeling where it's like, man, I wish I could get that, and it's like almost like it might seem like a pipe dream, so it might not make sense to your mind, but it triggers you emotionally in a good way, like it's something that is driving you forward. That's your inner truth. See, and that's what we're talking about, is your inner truth. Even if it doesn't make sense to your mind, it's going to feel like, wow, what if only I could do that, or I could be that, type of a thing, okay? And like I said, it's going to make you have a certain feeling. That's how you know that it's something that is true for you, because essentially that's what this is. This is getting you into your heart, getting into your instincts and your intuition, and it's letting you know, like, okay, this is something that is making me want it, even though it might not make sense to my mind. Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the Queen of Swords upright, and you've got the Three of Wands reversed. The Three of Wands is saying, this is a card of perspective, right? It's one of the few cards where the figure on the card has their back turned to us. And you could see that this figure is looking out, on a cliff at some shifts. It's like looking to the future, planning for the future, right? But when it's reversed, there are three separate ways that we can perceive things. We can perceive things toward the future, or toward the present moment, or we could look to the past. And so this card was reversed, and it's telling me that part of the issue here is your mind is projecting you into the future. Like, we can start going down that road. Well, what if this happens, and then that happens, and then, or what if I need to do this? And so we're getting too far, kind of ahead of ourselves, right? And most of you have probably heard of, the famous book, The Power of Now, right? Which is we want to stay in the present moment. We don't want to be locked in the past, obsessed with the past, and we don't want to be obsessed too much with the future. And so that's what this is saying, is part of this is, when you are feeling this anxiousness in your mind, think to yourself, are you in the present moment, or are you thinking, what if this happens, or what if I don't do this? Or, if you're in the future or the past, that is also an issue. So you're being asked to stay in the present moment. How do you feel in the present moment? Our intuition isn't found in the future or in the past. Our intuition and our truth is found in the present moment. And then this Queen of Swords is interesting, because this is referring to your South Node in Gemini, but what it's doing is, it doesn't mean that you never use your mind. This is you learn to have the proper use of your mind. You still have that wonderful sharp mind, problem-solving skills, great communication, but what you're doing is you are using it in a proper way. You are controlling this gift you have, because gifts that are overused are not superpowers. They begin to be a detriment to us, right? Gifts that are not used properly. And that's what this is saying, that there's a proper time and place to use those gifts of the mind. And so that's all this is about. This is about your karmic path and learning to use your gifts that you have of your mind properly, and not let them kind of control you, but you control them. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd just like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. See you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Capricorn and or the 10th house. Okay, the theme card that popped out for you is the King of Pentacles. Now, Pentacles rule all of the earth signs, okay? So Capricorn being among them. And Capricorn and also rules the 10th house, Pentacles do. And when I saw this card, I know it's representing your North Node, obviously, in Capricorn, or the 10th house, but this thought crossed my mind that people that have your North Node, one of the experiences that they could have, whether that be in the Capricorn or the 10th house, is it seems like that throughout your whole life, people have been pushing you to be more, or pushing you out of comfort zones. This is very common with this. It's like, we call it the baby bird syndrome, where the bird's refusing to fly out of the nest, so the parent kicks it out of the nest, So it's like, it can go back from parents, teachers, supervisors, even people around you, where you just seem like, it could also feel like you get comfortable in one place and then the rug gets pulled out from under you. That's sometimes the experience that people that have Capricorn North Node or 10th house North Node have. And one of the things that can happen is it can feel like people that don't understand what's happening, where, I've heard this directly from clients that have this North Node, where it feels like I just get comfortable in something, in a relationship, in a work situation, in whatever, and then all of a sudden it's like, the rug gets pulled out from under me, and something happens, and things, and so there's constantly like pushing toward something. And what can happen is it could feel like very unfair. A lot of them say it just feels like it ends up being like, why is life doing this to me? Like, and so it can be perceived as being kind of very, very unfair. And the reason for that is because a lot of our natural desires are found in our south node sign and house. Also the planet Pluto, but we're going to talk about the south node now. So, the desire, your south node in Cancer, or the fourth house, which is, security, home, comfort, safety, all of these type of things, and it could seem like you're being constantly almost like pushed out into the big cold world type of a thing. So your timeline cards are going to kind of explain a little bit more detail of how this is playing out and how it's feeling. You've got the Justice card reversed on your timeline. You've got the Seven of Pentacles upright. And then you've got the Seven of Cups upright. So this is the unfairness that I was talking about. Many of you may be thinking like, you look back and you're like, you look back on different situations, and it could seem like it's unfair. Like, why does this keep happening? Why does my life keep getting shook up in some areas? And sometimes, you'll get one area of life going, and then the other one might have an issue, and then, back and forth type of a thing. So it can seem just like very, very unfair. And really, what's happening now that you're at this point, a lot of you are at this kind of choice point. Okay, where do I want to go from where I'm at right now? And that's where this Seven of Cups is. There's these emotional choices that you're making, and the Seven of Pentacles upright is saying that, this is, again, you're like waiting. Okay, like, what's going to happen? Where am I supposed to go? How is this all going to play out? Some of you are being a little bit more patient than others, but it's kind of like you're waiting to see, okay, where is it I'm supposed to go? That's the Seven of Pentacles. I'm waiting to see what's going to grow from all of this life that I'm living, right? And then you're at this emotional choice point. And the thing you want to realize is you want to realize that, the more that you are able to step into situations that are uncomfortable and conquer them and master them, the more comfort you're going to receive in the future. So it seems counterintuitive, because you think, well, wait a minute. If I step out of comfort, how will I gain comfort? And if I stay in my comfort zones, won't I just stay comfortable? And so that you're in this loop right now, where a lot of times this is what happens with people that have this North Node. Is it's like, don't seek comfort, seek what is uncomfortable. Okay, because there's part of you that's telling you that you need to do it. Like, everybody that has this North Node, deep down inside, they kind of know, wow, like, what if I, went for that higher education? What if I went for, that, job interview, or whatever it is? And the more that deep down inside, they know what they need to do, but they might feel like, oh, I don't know, that seems really scary, So that's what I mean by that. You have to kind of go within yourself and really be honest with yourself and say, like, okay, even if this seems like uncomfortable or undoable, I'm going to do it anyway, because I do feel deep inside that I need to do it. It's that type of a thing. So you are seeking out what's deep inside you that is what is uncomfortable. And ultimately what's going to happen is you're going to get more comfort, security, and safety in the long run and stop getting the rug pulled out from under you. It's a really kind of, it's one of the more stranger North Node placements, because it seems so like different, taking action and stepping out of your comfort zone just seems so strange, because it just seems, like I said, counterintuitive, like, and it's just one of those weird ones, right? But it's true. What ends up happening is, in the long run, when you do that, you will be rewarded with more safety, security, and comfort. Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the Chariot card reversed, and you've got the Ace of Cups reversed, okay? So really, the Chariot is saying, like, okay, when the Chariot is reversed, it means that it's not going straight. It's either going backwards, it's going sideways, it's not really like moving forward like you like it. And so that could be anything. It could represent our life, it could represent our work, our relationships, okay? There's something that needs balancing in order to like move forward. And the Ace of Cups is saying what needs balancing is that we're going to talk about the planetary energies of your North and South Node, okay? Your South Node in Cancer, or the 4th house, is ruled by the Moon, okay? The Moon is extremely powerful. The Moon affects all humans, all life on Earth. It is extremely not only powerful, but it has this kind of magnetic quality, right? Now, the Ace of Cups reversed is saying that it's time to, like, okay, how about if you tap into another planetary energy, which would be in your South Node. Now, in your North Node. So your North Node in Capricorn or the 10th house is ruled by the planet Saturn. And Saturn is about hard work. It's about dedication. It's about having a thick skin. It's about being able to, carry burdens. It's all of these things, okay? And it might do a lot of you, really well to just like maybe research, what does the Moon represent and what does the planet Saturn. These are the type of energies that you want to incorporate. And many times, on our path for our North Node, the planetary energies of our South Node can have this huge draw on us and kind of keep us. And I think that that's what makes the North Node in Capricorn or the 10th house so difficult, because the Moon is just, it's our closest, a planet, right? And it has such a huge effect on all of us and the Earth, but especially you that have this North Node. And so, it has this draw toward you where it can be hard to break away. It's kind of like, the Moon also represents, the mother. It could be parents in the home, but especially like the mother. And, it's like the old saying where they say, like, oh, that guy is attached to his mother's apron strings. It's that type of a thing. It's a very like close and personal thing. And it's not like someone has, the planet Mars that is, in their South Node, like, South Node in Aries or something like that, which they're all powerful, but especially the Moon, because it's so personal, right? So what this is saying is that it might do you well to think about, okay, when I'm going in my day-to-day things, right? What is drawing me forward? Is it more Moon type things? Is it my South Node? Is it the Moon? Is it like comfort, safety, the home, security, those type of things? Or am I being driven by, you know, excellence and moving forward in something and mastering skills and having the ability to, be brave in moving forward in something that I want to do. It's that type of a thing. And so that's really what this is saying, that you're at this kind of choice point. And I'm just feeling like for a lot of you, it might be interesting to say like, okay, what is really motivating my decisions? When you make a decision to do something, to stay in a job or to stay in a relationship or to move to a certain place, like what is it that is prodding you along, or what is it that's motivating you? And so this is kind of an interesting reading, because it's like it's getting into overall motivations as opposed to just simple black and white, do this, don't do that type of a thing. So yeah, I just think that, keep that in mind. Like, you're at this choice point in your life. Think about, you don't want to keep getting the rug pulled out from under you in situations. So maybe it's time to say, okay, search within yourself. Do I truly have this inner desire, even if I'm afraid, and even if it seems like it's kind of scary? Do I have this desire to go in a certain direction? And I would say follow that. Follow what is uncomfortable, and you're going to find that it's going to get you to a better place. And ultimately, people that do this, that I've seen, that are clients, ultimately get the comfort that they desire, that security in doing what is uncomfortable. So yeah, interesting reading. But anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd just like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Aquarius and or the 11th house. Okay, the theme card that popped out for you is the Five of Wands upright. And I feel like for the second half of January here, there is going to be a situation where a lot of you are involved in some sort of a situation that could seem like it's like a competitive situation, or a little bit confusing, or you're having to kind of, stand up for your beliefs, or you're engaging with multiple people. This could be at work. It could be in your personal life with family or friends, or in your personal relationships, but something to where like you're having to go in and it's like step into the fray of something, step into something that the situation could be a little bit confusing, could be slightly combative for some of you. Okay, and you have to like kind of, step in and do something. You have to engage within this. So a lot of times there's a situation where, we see something and we're like, okay, if I get involved in this and I feel the need to do that, it's going to be like, it could get like a little messy type of thing. So it doesn't necessarily have to be super negative. For some of you, each of you, it's going to be different, but the situation is just kind of like slightly, could feel confusing or chaotic. And for each of you, it might be a little bit more intense than others, but essentially it's going to be confusing and chaotic. Now let's look at your timeline cards. We'll get some more clarity here. So you've got the Four of Cups upright. You've got the Eight of Pentacles upright. And you've got the Six of Wands reversed. Okay, so the Four of Cups here is saying that the bottom line of what this situation is that there is some emotional discontent that is at the core of it. But the emotional discontent is due to not having all of the facts, kind of emotionally. Because you can see here that this person is emotionally discontent. They're like looking at these cups here. They're trying to figure it out, and they're not quite sure. But there is an element emotionally that they're not seeing, and this is also something that has to do with, people's perception. Like they're not perceiving the emotional situation kind of correctly or to its fullest extent. Now, going over to this Eight of Pentacles, um, you know, we're talking about work here, something that you're doing. Now, not necessarily a job or career, but anything like it's work that you have done or something that you are working on and are involved in. So that could mean, like, as I said, I always say it doesn't, if you don't have a career, it could be like what you're doing as a parent. Maybe you're working, for the PTA, or if you're retired, you're volunteering, or even if you're working around the house, it has something to do with that, but like your personal work. And the situation you're being thrown into that's kind of confusing is you're having to maybe, stand up for something. This is also, again, we're talking about your thoughts, your beliefs. It could be stand up for a point of view type of a thing, right? Now, where it's heading is that it's going to seem like, with this Six of Wands reversed, it's going to seem like there is no winner in this, and that's what this is. There is not going to be any winners or losers in this situation. It's just about sometimes engaging with the situation, and then agreeing on something together, or agreeing to not agree, agreeing to disagree type of a thing. There's not going to be any clear winner. So this is important for you to know, that you're not in this situation to try to win, because there aren't going to be any clear winners. You're just here to engage for what it is that you believe in, and you're here to get to some sort of a consensus. Now, why is this important? For your North Node in Aquarius, which rules the collective, okay, which rules organizations, which rules communication, groups of people, and also the 11th house, the same thing, groups of people, organizations, companies, family groups, the tribe, or whatever it is. This is important because most things in life don't have a clear winner or loser, okay? Especially within, sometimes there is a thing called compromise. And so sometimes it's like, okay, we maybe agree on this, we don't agree on that. And this is really an important thing when we're dealing with getting along with groups of people, right? And so it's not about, think about, we'll take a group like, let's say, like a family unit is like a tribe or a group, right? If you have a family unit, and this could be like extended family, there are multiple people involved, not necessarily like, parents and children, but like extended family. A lot of times it's not like, well, I'm going to get my way. One person's going to get their way and one person's not, or some people aren't going to get their way. So there's a winner or loser. A lot of times it's like compromise. It's like, okay, I see your point on that, but I feel strongly about this. And so that is how the world really works. That's how truly good groups, tribes, organizations are able to function well, when they can have a disagreement. They come in, they say their piece, and that's what this Eight of Pentacles is. It's about working on this. This is part of your life's work, is understanding kind of this skill. Now, why is this important? Well, remember your South Node in Leo, or the fifth house. I have my South Node in the fifth house. Okay, so I think I've mentioned that before. So I have my North Node in the 11th house. One of the things that happens is that people that have this South Node in Leo, or the fifth house, come into this lifetime with a lot of like personal authority and dignity. We call it almost like a royal complex, where when you have like a ruler, they're used to, okay, this is my will, this is the way it should be, type of a thing. And in this lifetime, we're learning to say, well, I feel strongly about this, this is part of our life's work, but I'm willing to compromise. I see your point on that. And this is about working together in groups. So it's not about the ruler, one person like winning, another person losing. It's about It's about compromise and getting along. That's how healthy groups and tribes function, right? Now, we're looking at your advice cards now. You've got the Six of Cups reversed, and you've got the Queen of Wands upright. Okay. The Six of Cups reversed is saying that this not only, this is talking about your emotional past, but I feel like it's not even just talking about, your emotional past in this lifetime. We're talking about many lifetimes, because our South Node is one area of our chart that shows our past lives. And so what you're learning is you are learning to unlearn this feeling of there has to be a winner and loser in every situations. In every situation, like I've seen this a lot when I am working with clients. Like I had a client not too long ago where they had their significant other had a a North Node in Aquarius and Leo South Node, and they're a great person, but they always kind of felt the need where it's like, this is my will and it should be done. And not to be mean, but it was just like their natural way of being. And so our South Nodes in our past, especially from past lives, they get ingrained in us. And so what you're learning to do is you're learning in this situation to get rid of strongly ingrained instincts and desires in your South Node that aren't serving you in this lifetime. And the end result is you don't lose part of yourself, but what you're doing is when we control our South Node, we are not losing, we're gaining our North Node. What we're doing is we're losing the parts that we don't need anymore and keeping the good things in our South Node, but we're gaining that whole, North Node stuff, which is amazing to get. Now, what does that mean for you? Well, you've got the Queen of Wands here. Now, Wands represent all the fire signs. Now, Leo in the fifth house. The fifth house is also ruled by Wands. What this is saying is that you're becoming an enlightened leader. What does that mean? That means that you don't necessarily need to be the leader, but inside you are getting along. You're being part of the collective. You're being part of the group. You're sharing your gifts in order to help the group move forward. But part of being an enlightened leader is realizing, oh, you know what? I'm going to take advice from that person. I don't need to always be right, or my will doesn't always have to be done, but you are able to work with others. Okay. And so this gives you the best of both worlds. Essentially, that's what we're doing with our North Node path is we're fusing these two polarities together, the best and the best, together. And when we do that, it makes us extremely, yes, powerful, and it opens up doors in our path. It's very magical the way it happens, where we're basically co-creating with the universe because we're balancing what is imbalanced within ourselves, and we end up being a way better version of ourselves. And so that's what this Queen of Wands is saying is that truly you are becoming like the best version of yourself, and really gaining some powerful aspects in this lifetime that will serve you not only in this lifetime but in future lifetimes. So it's very powerful learning this. Interesting reading. I'm surprised that this came up, but it kind of makes sense with everything that's going on astrologically. So anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd just like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. See you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Pisces and or the 12th house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the Nine of Swords. Now, there could be a lot of you that, to different levels and different, different extents, um, have been dealing with maybe some, anxiety, either mid-level, low level, some of you maybe even high level, just kind of overall anxiety, maybe just not sleeping as well, or just some sort of like overall, worry, anxiety, like, fears that pop up here and there. And like I said, for each of you, it's going to be at a different level, but I think all of you can probably relate to the fact that that's something that you're, kind of dealing with. We're getting near, kind of the end of this North Node run where, the North Node is now going to be changing very soon from Pisces, and it's going to be going into Aries. So a lot of you are kind of feeling like maybe it's, the general anxiety of what's going on in the world. And there's a reason for that, and you're being asked to learn a certain skill regarding, your particular path, because you've got your North Node in Pisces, or the 12th house, which rules like imagination and all of that, and then you've got your South Node in Virgo, or the 6th house, which is ruled by Mercury, which is about thinking, right? So you put in the imagination part and the thinking part, and sometimes it could be, that's where anxiety can happen. But I'm getting some clear messages. Let's look at your timeline card. So you've got the 7 of Pentacles upright. You've got the 9 of Pentacles reversed, and you've got the 2 of Pentacles upright. Now, you have all Pentacles here, okay? Pentacles rule everything of value, not just money and finances, but everything you value, which is, your time, your health, your love, your relationships, all of those things. It's everything that's of value in our life. And starting with this 7 of Pentacles is you're being asked to realize that what's happening is that things in your life are growing, but sometimes there can be an impatience where we want them to be a certain way, and we're like, waiting and waiting and waiting, and it could be like this growth period where you're being asked to, am I going to focus on like the growth and where it's at, or am I going to focus on something else? And that's where this 9 of Pentacles comes in. This is one of the most interesting cards in the tarot deck because it represents, the ability to really enjoy life in all its glory. I mean, we're talking about, you see a woman dressed in fine clothes in her garden. She has the very wealthy pastime of working with falcons or other birds of prey, falconry, which was something that only the very wealthy could afford to do. But it's because this is reversed. What you're needing to focus on is you're needing to focus in on the richness that is around you, because this is where we can lose our way a lot of times. This is actually a good thing for all of the North Nodes to kind of keep in mind, is what we focus on is what we can obsess on, right? And so this is saying, like, really, really focus on where it is in my life, where's the richness that I have in my life right now. And because it's reversed, it's like, this card is also referring to the ability to have the time to do things. Now, why do I say that? Well, not a lot of people know this, but if you look at the very bottom of this card, you see this little tiny snail that's at the bottom. Now, this snail represents a few different things. One of the things, if I'm going to bring up 3 things, okay, but it has deep meaning. The first thing it represents is the luxury of time, because it might take a snail all day to move several feet across a yard. Okay, so it's the ability to move at a snail's pace, where you have the ability to one of the biggest things we have in our lives is the value of our time, our personal time. The other thing that it represents is it represents that wherever we are, we have our home with us, meaning, the snail carries its home on its back, meaning that it is comfortable wherever it's at. Like it's enjoying its life. It's comfortable wherever it's at. It's carrying its home on its back. And then one of the last things it represents is that even in any perfect situation, there are snails in the garden. Okay, that's another thing that this talks about. So, but really, what this is for you is, I feel like it's this time factor, right? Where it's saying like, okay, focus in on the whenever we have anxiety, like focus in on the richness of what it is you have around you, all of those things that are of value, all of these pentacles here. Now, we've got the Two of Pentacles over here, which is about like balancing, and that's essentially what this is saying. Is it's saying like, yeah, sometimes we have to balance, we have to juggle our time, we have to, balance whatever it is we value out. We have to like weigh things out, and it takes some work juggling the things that we have of value in our lives. Okay, so that's what this is saying, is that you're in the process of doing that. But when you begin to really focus in on, okay, what it is you want to grow, and this stuff that you have that's good around you, it will take off that whole like anxiety, worry type thing, because you begin to change your focus. And again, focus and perspective is one of the big things that has to do with your north node and south node. Okay, and it's a huge part of it is, where do you put your focus, where do you put your perspective, and where is your perspective? And that's a constant, like, lifelong thing. So when you notice yourself having one kind of perspective, and it's giving you some sort of a feeling, whether it's anxiety or worry or whatever, maybe check your focus and your perspective. Okay, like readjust it. And that's again what this Two of Pentacles, where can I like balance it and readjust it? Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the Queen of Pentacles reversed, and you've got the Four of Cups reversed. Okay, the Four of Cups reversed is saying that most of you are learning to do this. You're learning to not focus the perspective on just these three cups, but realize that there's another way you can go. Okay, like you're not getting the complete picture. So one of the things about this emotional discontent card, when you see this, is it's the person doesn't have the complete picture. Yes, they are focusing on the three cups that are in front of them. They see them very clearly, and they're obviously discontent with something about them. However, they're so focused on those three cups, they do not see the other things that are there, because there are, and that's what this fourth cup is saying. And I feel like a lot of you are that's one of the things you're learning in all of this, is learning that we always have an incomplete picture when we're focusing on something. We have to make sure, are we getting the complete picture? And that's one of the things that you're learning in this. And then this Queen of Pentacles reversed is saying that, you are headed toward more stability. You are headed toward more groundedness, but it's a process. Again, the Seven of Pentacles is saying, okay, realize that this is a work in progress. Okay, it's not going to happen overnight. Our path isn't fully realized. And it takes time. It takes time and effort, and it takes balancing. And just realize you're on that path of getting that kind of stability and that contentment you want. But again, it's about perspective. Okay, and keep in mind, it's always good to just say, okay, am I seeing this correctly? Can I look at this in a new way? Can I see what I have that's good to get me to not worry? Okay, and all of us, this is a good reading for all of us, because no matter what our north node is, because it's really something that getting that ability to refocus on something and see things in a new perspective can be a huge benefit in our life. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd just like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. See you on some more videos. Many blessings.